Hi, I'm Mr. Chambers, the Executive Director of the Center Education Foundation. I'm pleased to be joined today by Don Shaffer's children, Tom, Sarah, and Sid. As member of Don and Shirley's family, they have a unique perspective on the life of longtime Center Band Director Don Shaffer. Thanks for joining us today to share your memories of your dad's involvement with Center Band and the Kansas City community. Let me just kick it off by asking, what did the band program, from your perspective, mean to your dad?
I'll start. I think it meant everything to him. To say it consumed his life would maybe be a bit extreme, but it was close to that. We pretty much lived it. His faith in church and his family was a big part of his life, but then it was band.
Yeah.
And then it was band. And, it wasn't just Monday through Friday, it was Saturday and Sunday too. So, and he involved all of us in it, in all the after hour preparations and ideas and everything that went into it. It was kind of all consuming. He just loved it and brought us all into it. So that's my thoughts on it.
You have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say, I think the band did kind of consume him, but in a real positive way, just as one of his kids, it was fun. There was always something to do, always some place you're preparing for something all the time. You always get to do that thing, and then you get to talk about it, and that's just really fun. And to always have an activity, a family activity that you're all doing with your dad all the time, that's fun, and I feel lucky because of that.
Yes, Sarah, what are your memories of being from your dad?
Well, it was his passion. Music was just totally his passion, and just like Sid and Tom are saying, we were involved with it from the very get-go. We knew which pieces he was considering for contest, and then which pieces were they struggling with, and this and that, and then getting the scores and either celebrating or maybe not celebrating. And it was Friday night football games, and it was weekday basketball pep games. The band was a part of that as well. Dad started like a summer band group. He just started this up and had it so that was all summer long. That was a big deal. And then I guess I was also thinking about the plays. Dad was always a part of the musicals. He had a pit and involved some orchestral players as well as his own band players. So I can remember just loving to go and watch the plays, watch the people rehearse, even when I was younger. Yeah. It was a family event. We went to it and we helped and we whatever. We were just part of the band life.
So you were part of the entourage and the pit crew and everything else.
Yeah, moving the stands, maybe getting the music, whatever. We were extra help, but I have to let Tom said it was really fun. It was just fun. Sid and I reminisced the other day about organizing the music for Dad, like before school started, separating that for the different sections. I mean, it was fun. He made it fun.
Yeah, I was thinking about that again today. We would, this was before the high school had air conditioning.
Yeah.
And we would get up really early, like maybe be at school at 6 or 6:30 before it got hot in the summer. And we would go up there and sort music. And we loved doing it, all by section and put all the music getting ready for school come, mid-August or whenever we started. And then we'd be home by, 11:30, 12, it started to get hot. But, we loved helping and being a part of all of that, cleaning, getting all the uniforms all back from the cleaners and getting them all hung and organized. And we were his little, his little team. We loved every minute of it. We really did.
That's awesome. Are there any specific performances or pieces of music that were memorable for you?
Oh, for me? Oh boy. I'm kind of bad about this. We've talked about this in the past. Mask. You guys help me out. Tom is really good about remembering names. Mask is huge.
Well, of course, I'm drawing a blank right now because of that. But yeah, there was a couple of songs that he'd play not every year, but every second or third year he might pull it out again because and they were, he would select contest pieces that were very challenging. They were, in many cases, college level pieces, and that's again. That's fun because if you challenge kids and you put them in the right environment, they come in guns loaded, for rehearsal that morning because they know, my gosh, this is really hard and I'm really pushed to do this. And he's going to be honest to do it. And it drives you. It just, he had a manner about him that could really get the best out of students. And I'm not just talking about myself. I hear this all the time from former students I've never even heard of before that were in the 70s or something. And I've read so many things on, since he passed on social media that former students have talked about and shared, stories about my dad. And you're like, wow, it's just amazing. It kind of solidified who I thought he was. But when you hear it from so many, literally hundreds of other people, former students, kind of the same theme over and over, it's just remarkable.
He pushed himself by tackling some of these huge pieces. He just broke it down measure by measure, and we just knocked it down some days measure by measure. But by the end of it, we did it. That taught us all a huge lesson.
I can remember, I feel like it was Russian Christmas music. Does this ring a bell?
Yes.
Shostakovich.
Yes.
That was a huge piece, extremely difficult too. And as Sid was saying, break it down measure by measure. You would have to test off. Every person in the band would have to test off to prove that they could play those pieces. Or maybe if they couldn't do that, then maybe they were not going to play their horn during that particular section. So Dad was very thorough and going through all of those things. And the music that he produced was just astounding. It really was. And people tend to remember the biggest piece that they played at contest, except for my brother Tom. He's actually the youngest of the three. Just saying.
I remember one piece. It was really, I don't know whether it was Matt. I don't know why I keep bringing that song up. It's the only one I can remember. But it's really difficult. We were so proud of ourselves that we finally got through to the end of it. And then my dad said to the whole band, well, that really sounds pretty good, but it's actually supposed to go about 3 times that faster than that. And we're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, tackle this whole thing going 3 times. And then we're like sweating at the end of it. So thrilling.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things I do keep hearing as I talk to people is how he really pushed people beyond what they thought they were capable of. And
Yeah.
a real tribute and a great life lesson. You all three were actually in the band. What was it like playing in the band for your dad?
I would say you don't get any special favors just because you're the band director's child, although that's a question people would always ask. I think each one of us tried really hard to do our best, but it was, there were times when Dad would be very frustrated with the band, and then, people would be grumbling, and you would hear that from your classmates. But all in all, I was just always very proud of Dad, very proud to be his daughter.
I would say basically the same thing. I was never really embarrassed, or he would lose his temper on more than one occasion, but I think at the root of it, we all knew he just wanted the best for us as a group. And they all knew that maybe perhaps he was more frustrated with himself at times with not being able to maybe teach us as best as he could. I think we were grown up enough to understand that, and that he truly wanted us to succeed. And I never felt like, anybody was taking it out on us. I was always very proud to have him as my teacher. I had him from 5th grade on. Well, we all did, I guess, basically, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't have him in junior high.
No,
I
no
had him
junior
just in grade school, then high school.
Mhm.
Did you have him all the way through, Tom?
Not in junior high, but I had him in 5th and 6th grade at
Redbridge.
Redbridge Elementary.
Yeah.
Home of the Roadrunners at the
Yes.
The Roadrunners.
Yeah.
Still are the Roadrunners.
Well, back when I was a kid, they were the Rockets, and somewhere along the way, I still have a yearbook or two, and the front cover says Rockets, and it's got a rocket on it, shockingly. But they somewhere along the way they switched from Rockets to Roadrunners. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, but I was always really proud too. And again, it can't, that kind of thing, when your parent is your teacher, it can cut both ways and be tough, but I never felt burdened by that at all. And you knew where, all of his antics and all that, his effort, it was genuine. It wasn't, made up. It wasn't a bunch of fluff. He really wanted to own it, and he really wanted to do well himself, and he wanted, the bands to do well. So when you put all that together, at least as his child, it never really affected me that, I felt awkward that there's my dad, he's embarrassing me. I never ever felt that way.
Tom was the drum major. Tom, were you that your senior year, or was it your senior year?
I think junior and senior year. Yeah, junior and senior year. You kind of move up, you kind of move up. So
did you ever feel like people thought you got that just because you were dad's son? I'm just curious now.
No one ever made me feel that way, but I was always self-conscious. We had to try out. I remember trying out in the bottom parking lot there at the high school. He had us, marching in the mornings down there. You guys remember doing all that. And, we tried out. There was 3 or 4 of us tried out, so, but knowing Dad, he wouldn't, I don't,
Oh, no.
I think he would have said, I'm going to make the choice I want to make here, and that's just it. So I never felt like it was handed to me at all. I probably had a leg up on everybody because I, had watched drum majors for forever.
Years, yeah.
And I, sort of knew the drill. So it's like having answers to the test before the test. So. Hey, Rick, you're on mute.
We can't hear you.
I talked to you, Claudia White. Does that name ring a bell?
Yes.
And I think she was a drum major after you. And you really inspired her. She really admired the way you were about being a drum major, and inspired to be the same way. So you left some legacy there as well.
Yeah, she became a professional musician to this day. She is, and she I've got this. It's just an unbelievable classic photo of her next to my dad in rehearsing, and she says to this day she goes to her mom's house, and that picture is on their fridge.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know after your dad retired from Center, he didn't stop making music, and continued to be very involved in the community. Talk about, were you still living at home during those years, or you moved out by then?
By the time he had retired, I was married and did not live at home.
Okay. I know he's involved with a band at Hallmark.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told even at John Knox Village he played the bugle every morning. So yeah, quite a legacy. What were some of the life lessons that you got from your dad uh, in band or outside of band?
I was thinking about something about that today, and it's also something I kind of read on Facebook, and it made me think about this. I remember all the many, many, many evenings that kids would come over to our home over the many years to practice their solos and ensembles, whatnot, for district and state contests. And when you think back about it, I don't, even without COVID, whether people still do that or not, where they congregate in someone's home and sit around on sofas and chairs and pull up chairs and, just kind of play in front of each other. But my dad encouraged, come on and play. Some people came in and played and left. They had stuff to do, other plans. But it seemed to me that more often than not, people stayed or they came early to listen to other people play, and they played and then stayed to listen to other people. And I was thinking about that today, that it's important to invest yourself in other people. Sometimes, all the time, it's important to take the time to be a part of someone else's life and take the time to share. And I'm not articulating myself very well, but I think without really saying anything, he sort of just set that example that here we are, there's 20 kids plopped in a very tiny living room. We didn't have a big house. My mom's playing the piano for everybody, and here's all these kids just sitting around listening to each other. And I thought, what a community that is. We're all there to lift each other up and support each other, and I think that's pretty awesome. So
I think you said that beautifully, Sid. And I would have to agree. Dad always showed us with his actions and with his words that encouragement goes a long way. People really do respond to that, and including everyone is also part of it. Dad didn't like anyone, maybe there was someone not as popular or whatever. Everyone was included. Everyone is part of the group, and that was a really nice feeling of community, not just around our house and neighbors and things, but with the band kids too, having all the seniors come over for a final picnic at the house and cooking hamburgers on the grill and, inviting extra people for a meal. And then just like Sid said, people hang out at the house during contests and listen to other people play. And he just very much was that way, including everybody, and always want to put your best foot forward. And I think Dad also prided himself on always looking your best. That was something that I learned from him too. Yeah. Do your best and look your best.
I'd probably echo some of the same things Sarah and Sid have mentioned. I think my dad had a soft spot in his heart for kids that needed somebody to believe in them. And my dad, I can remember when I was a senior in high school, my dad and I'd get up crazy early so he could, get to school and get first hour rolling. But we'd pick up kids to go to band in the morning to go to school, and we'd pull up to houses. It's dark out. There's not a light out in the house. And some of these kids were from the wrong side of the tracks, and their parents weren't up, making sure they had breakfast for the morning. There's a couple kids that I know that dad did that, and we'd pick them up in the morning, and off to band we'd go, and he'd make sure that they had a great time and made them feel included. And he just had that magic about him, for people that just wouldn't get that otherwise. They're just not going to get it. And I think he had something special about him to make all of us feel special. We all felt. I mean, if you're around him, you just felt like your dad. My dad thought I was special. He thought he believed in me, and in tough times and in good times. He and I think all of us need that. And that's one thing I've taken from my dad is try to share with people that you believe in them, because everyone needs that. Because if you don't have that, it's tough rowing.
It's a great.
Rick, I was just going to say to my siblings there, do you remember Diane Green?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. This probably Rick is edit, but this is a girl who wanted to play flute so badly, and she had a lot of issues. I never was really sure what it was, but she was a very poor player. She had a lot of issues, but she just thought Dad was the greatest, and Dad let her know that she was a really special person. And she wrote him letters several times a year, very lengthy letters, had difficulty writing. It was just amazing. And he would never turn away from anyone at all, or anyone like that. It was just unbelievable. And when I look at my two siblings, I'm getting emotional, but they're both that way too. Somebody needs an extra hand, or needs some help. None of us would turn away from anyone. We would do whatever we could for somebody else who's having a hard time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing legacy that he has left. And as I talk to the people time and time again, I hear that same thing. He had the gift of making each individual feel special, and that's probably the most enduring thing that I hear from people. And that's amazing. Any other closing comments anybody wants to make?
I don't think so.
I was just going to bring up that one of the questions you had given us that you might ask us about was his involvement with the community. And you mentioned briefly the Hallmark Band. And Tom, I feel like, I don't know why, but didn't he start the Hallmark Band and he started the Lions Band? Didn't he?
Yeah, if you start, that's another thing that's just really impressive about him, and is the things that he started from nothing. He started the state of Missouri Lions Band. He started the Hallmark Band from nothing. He started the summer band program in high school, and he just started a lot of things, and they're not small things either. It's lots of people, lots of effort, and they lasted for years and years and years. So it's really remarkable, and not everybody can do that. To get something off the ground successfully and get buy-in from not only the participants but their families as well. And that's something that he would just take on. And there's times in my life that I'm like, man, if he did that, I could do that too. And it's kind of a lasting thing, because he I don't know, it's just something that has always stuck with me, the things that he started from nothing.
Well said. Well said, Mr. Shaffer. Yeah. And I guess the other thing in community that I would bring up is about church. We were going to church before we were conceived. We were all, church was a very big part of our lives growing up. We were all involved with the choir and, going to Sunday school. And then when we're older, attending the sermons and all. Dad was the choir director in some places. My mother played organ, and when they were in Moberly, Missouri, and then they just have continued to be extremely involved with the church, and spent hours in assisting with the music. Dad in particular, church orchestra, he was involved with that. He was involved with the men's choir. He wrote several what do we say, hymns to be performed, and church was a very big thing in their lives.
Wonderful thoughts. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to shut us down here.